One of the things that has created the problems have been the creative and strange products tied to foreign indices that many lenders themselves admit that they didn't understand, that were opportunistic, and unfortunately, people of all backgrounds suffered from those. I believe in sustainable home ownership. I believe that the advantages in getting lower down payments, either through gifts from family or nonprofits, is very reasonable in sustaining and allowing those individuals to get homes.
As a practicing realtor right now, one of the things that we see in the industry is a concern for the future of being able to sell homes at an appreciated value. We are right now still experiencing a spiraling down because of the foreclosures, the sheriff sales, and all this sort of thing. And in the industry, we say, how are we ever going to see the values increase?
Thank you for your question. We are seeing values increase, however slightly, in many markets, but we're not going to see prices increase, although we see sales increase, until there's a tremendous lessening of the number of foreclosures coming onto the market versus foreclosures on the market. We think that a loosening of the credit, I didn't say credit standards, the loosening of the credit that the banks are holding that was given to them for consumers to purchase this inventory off the market is going to help to reduce that inventory. We think that banks working in good faith for those borrowers to who are upside down and who wish to sell, and they have buyers wishing to purchase the property in current market value to approve short sales, because they've been given the money to address the difference in those losses. A significant reduction in the inventory of foreclosures. We're already sinking the number of listings on the market in terms of existing home sales that are not distressed. So all indicators, with the exception of foreclosures, are pointing in the direction of a corrected market.
Mr. McMillan, this is not exactly in your mandate of a job, but maybe you can help us understand. I've wondered, there are thousands of people who have lost their homes. If they can't afford the mortgage, maybe they can't afford rent either. Where are all these people, the thousands of people who are no longer in their homes, who've been put out on the street? I see it in my neighborhood. Are they living in cars? Are they living with other families? Where are these thousands of people?
Thank you so much for your question and pointing out that it's probably far beyond the area that I've studied to come here today. But I can tell you, I have some anecdotal information from our chief economist, Lawrence Ewan, because he has tracked over the years the amount of new population, either from people coming in the country, from babies being born, and from people getting married. There's a certain expectation of new household formations year after year. And that's how we track reasonable home ownership, sales, and absorption. And that's not happening. And what he has concluded from his research, and maybe some of you can confirm in this room who tried to hide your addresses when you moved, is that children come back home. So we have more extended families. We have more people living under one roof that ordinarily newlyweds would have struck out on their own. We have those types of things, and heaven knows it is it would probably bring tears to your eyes for the nonprofits to tell you how many families and children now pack their shelters that didn't do that in the past. These are people displaced from homes, from individuals making reasonable incomes. It is important to understand as well that this just didn't happen in isolation. There's been a tremendous amount of job loss. I understand that 63,000 jobs was lost in Cleveland just last year, and I have the breakdown of the different industries that they were in. I didn't find that material to share that with you because you have that information here as well. So job loss has been a significant problem. So in all the areas that people help people, there's been a swelling in that demand. And that's where many of those people are going.
I'm one of those people who are optimistic and believe we will get a recovery. But I see two scenarios that I think will last for a while that concern me. One is that people, let me start back a little. I talk with realtors and they say to me, you know, they didn't used to sell to investors, but now they have to sell to an investor, and they celebrate that because it's all they can do. The other thing that goes through my mind is recognizing what home ownership used to mean to people, and that is that it gave them a piece of wealth that they could use to invest in their families. Going back to the investor, that's going to change our neighborhoods because we're going to have a lot more renters in our neighborhoods. Looking at the family that doesn't have that escrow anymore, they won't be sending their kids to college. What are we going to do as a government, a society, and as realtors to begin to address those problems so that we can turn them around too?
Thank you so much for your question. I think it's important that I make the point that housing, if you will, has not been touted as an investment. Housing has been touted as a wonderful place and safe place to shelter the most precious commodity that most of us have, so that unlike renters, people can't say, leave. This is a piece of mine. This is what I have. They're getting that in Russia now because in 1992, they asked us to come over and share with them how to so construct their constitution and their laws to permit private property ownership. I think that's real important. But it's important not to lose track of your point with respect to investment, because as an unintended byproduct, when we look at all the benefits of home ownership that comes with appreciation, that takes place normally, not guaranteed, but as you take care of your property and as you invest in it, and the various tax benefits that our government give, people find themselves surprisingly with a bank account in their home that they didn't know that they had. And I've heard it said that figures don't lie, but liars figure. So many people in this boom in an industry found a way to extract that unforeseen savings account from those borrowers. With respect to investment, investors are a legitimate part of the economy, but investors should not be permitted to purchase and should not be aided by government to purchase on the same scale and level as people for home ownership. And fortunately, I can say pridefully that when there are foreclosures available from the federal government, and there are two entities vying for the ownership of that property, if one of them is an individual wanting to put their family in it, owner-occupant, they're given priority over an investor bidding for the same property. And I think over time, we didn't get into this overnight, but over time we will. And in your opening remarks, I smiled because you characterize my optimism, the optimism of America, and the optimism of Granny in saying that this is going to get better. We're going to keep moving here. We're not going to be arrested here. We're going to keep moving. And but thank you for your comments, because the future indeed, I believe, looks bright.